All right. To those that just joined, I just have to greet us one more time. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are joining us from. I understand some people are joining us from other regions of the world. And that's one of the beauty of this particular program. Since it's online, you can join from anywhere across the globe. And I want to believe we are also tapping into that benefit of networking. Please, let's get to interact, know ourselves. Let's get to mingle with one another. Just to confirm I'm audible to all, please, if you can hear me, I want you to react with your favorite emoticon. All right then. Okay, so we move on to another interactive session today. All right, so the only thing I'm not so happy about today is that our mentor, who is one we can call Mr. Identity, this is his last class, but it doesn't stop here. We can always engage as we want. Is still very much available to help us, render assistance, intervene as required. So even though the class ends today, that doesn't mean that he has retired as far as this particular bootcamp is concerned. All right, before we move on into the class proper for today, please, for anyone who is yet to follow us on our various social media platforms, please, I'll encourage us to do that. Let's spread the good news. Let's also just share what exactly we are taking out of the classes we have been joining. You wouldn't know whether your next employer will just take a look, read from what you have posted, and with that, you are landing on that next big job or gig. So let's tag the, let's just tag us. I have it displayed on the screen already. LinkedIn, name on LinkedIn, on X, Instagram as well. And just for the, what I would call the rule for the session, can see that majority of us, we joined muted. So I'll encourage us to, let's maintain this. If there is need for any question to be asked, please indicate with a show of hand, and definitely you will be called upon to ask your question. But then before I bring up the moderator for today, who we've been enjoying him, we've been having so much to draw from his world of experience. Just in one word, drop in the chat. In one word, please, how has it been so far in terms of our experience? What is it that we can say we have taken out from the few sessions that we've had so far? Please, in one word, just drop in the chat. So what is it that you can say in terms of experience? I would just want you to describe the the bootcamp in one word? I'm waiting for a response. Please, let's draw very fast so we can make good use of this short time that we have in one word. I'm still waiting for us to drop this. Oh, Abel Bitrus saying engaging. And I'm optimistic that this particular one is going to be more engaging. It's going to be the most engaging. Okay. Yeah, awesome. From EMC, someone here, SU, want to believe that is not Salvation Union. Fantabulous. Abiola, be interesting. Okorua, Obey, oh, timely, interesting. Uche is saying amazing. Tomilola Oshukoya, great. Selivivi, great. Another SU here, Sudo. You are taking us to where we do not know. This is not a Linux class. We are getting there not now. It's try Sudo SU. Okay, you are switching user. All right. Sure, you are switching user to this particular platform that we have here now. Excellent. That's from Victor Matthew. Adeniyi Familua, excellent. Adeniyi Familua, excellent. Victor Matthew saying excellent. Adeniyi Familua, eye-opening and impacting. All right. Bolaji, impactful and insightful. Solomon Idowu, enlightened. Muhyiddin Oriola, awesome. Baba Bata, that name is I don't know how to describe that. You are saying it's amazing, and Omoboye is saying enlightening. All right, thanks so much, and we also appreciate our commitment. Showing up every week. I can see the engagement even on the WhatsApp group. That shows that we are not here to play. We are here to learn, and as I've mentioned earlier, let's continue to learn. Also interact on the WhatsApp group. I can see that our class representative and the assistant are doing a marvelous job as well. The weekly quiz, people really answering, just showing that yes, we are alive to this blessing, saying challenging and eye-opening. Okay, so I'll just move on now to introduce our mentor who is going to be taking us today. He is having, just to prepare our mind, he is having just what I would say is slight challenge with internet. So for that reason, we won't be able to go into our lab for today. Definitely we need to reschedule that, but that doesn't stop us from walking through the presentation, okay? But one other advantage that gives us is we can ask as much questions as we have for today. And I'm very sure that he will be willing to answer. Just to reconfirm, Mentor Tosin, are you now on the call?
Yes, I'm on the call.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. Thanks so much. We appreciate you. All right. So who is our mentor for today? We have all met him. I think it should be the third class. Yes, this is the third class, and to a large extent, just like what we've said in our submissions, in our answer to my question earlier on, you just describing your experience thus far. It's really been enlightening. It's been expository. It's been engaging. So thanks to our facilitator. And who is he? He is Oluwatosin Ajala. A man, like I mentioned earlier, we can say he is Mr. Identity. Okay, all that relates to identity, especially on Azure, is a subject matter expert when it comes to identity. So he's an Azure identity and access management engineer and a subject matter expert at Tech Knowledge. with over 6 years crafting IAM solutions across hybrid environments. This spans Entra ID, PIM, that's Privileged Identity Management, MFA, Multi-Factor Authentication, and Role-Based Access Control. Ladies and gentlemen, I know our hands are not busy. Even if they are busy at this point in time, just ensure that you put aside any form of distraction with rousing round of applause. I'm talking about a virtual one now. You don't need to unmute. We can use our emoji instead. Join me in welcoming Mr. Tosin Ajala. Please, let's keep our emojis flowing in. I want this screen to have several colors just from the emojis that we are going to be rolling in. Let's react. If we do not do this, it will not come up. He wouldn't speak. Please, let's keep it coming. Let's keep it coming. Let's keep it coming. All right. Mr. Tosin, the microphone now is yours. Thank you.
Thank you, the moderator. Thank you, everyone. It's good to be back here today. First and foremost, let me apologize. My internet is bad. The main one is bad, and the alternative is fluctuating. So, in case you're not able to hear me, let me just know. So, permit me to turn off my video so that it make the the audio more audible and clearer, because Teams, it consumes more data. So please permit me to off the video while I start sharing the screen. Okay. Can you all hear me? Am I audible?
Yes, you are. Yes, you are.
Okay.
And
okay.
Can see your screen as well.
Okay, thank you so much. So, yeah, can you all see my screen?
Yes, visible.
Yeah, okay, thank you so much. So we continue on this journey. So, we started with Azure policy. That was last week. So today is the continuation. Is six more modules for this particular topic, that is enforce security governance and regulatory compliance. So it's a 6 topic. So we have done 3 out of it last week, that is part 1. So in all is at least 100 minutes and 34 minutes also. That's 134 minutes. So we have 6 modules. So this topic is a bit of intermediate and advanced level. And the 3 points that we are looking at is identity, the network, and the monitoring. How you getting it? Then these are the modules that we need to look at for the second part, from module 4 to module 6. So we'll be talking about RBAC, the protect backup data with Azure Backup Security, then implement security control in our infrastructure as a code. So in this case study, we are going to be using Bicep. How you getting it? For this, so also we will learn these 4 things: how to protect our backup data, then strengthen our security posture, the right size RBAC for least privilege, and how to secure our infrastructure as a code. So before we start, please don't forget, probably you might need to do some revision. Normal Entra ID fundamentals, how to navigate portal, Microsoft security controls, then your RBAC, then general security fundamentals, then last line, which is the baseline, the RBAC scope, which we'll be looking at today. So that is the major topic. So let's move forward. So we are starting with module 4. Excuse me. This talks about the RBAC in question. I get it. RBAC stands for role-based access control. That is, it enforces least privilege only when roles are assigned at the right scope. Most of the time, we discover that some roles are being assigned at subscription group, that is, over assignment is common. And every excessive permission is a potential path for attackers to exploit. Why am I saying so? Some roles are not being needed to be assigned at subscription level. Why? Because it gives more privilege. More privilege. In RBAC, there's what we call scope. We have 4 scope. We have the management scope, the subscription scope, resource group scope, and resource. These 4. So that is what is applicable. The management group, it is at tenant level. What I mean by tenant level, it's being created in entry ID, and it captures all the subscription that is being put under it. Excuse me. So when you want to create management group, you must have an what you call, let me try. You must have what you call global admin, because it is created in entry ID, where you capture all the subscriptions. And any user given a role at management group, all the subscription you will have, they will inherit that permission. I get it. Now, this is my management group. So for me to create it, I must have a global admin in entry ID. Then I will continue to be adding all the subscription. So if I have more than one subscription, I can add. And whatever I'm doing at this level, that is why it is very important that you don't just give anybody. And you can see broader scope, span multiple subscription. So any role you assign at this level, any RBAC role, it will cascade up to the resource level. Any RBAC role you assign at this level. And excuse me, and most of the time, it's always the management, and probably the management or the C level that are always at this management group. Because if I give you a role here, a contributor role at this management group, I don't need to give you another role on subscription again. Neither do I need to assign a role at resource group or a resource, because whatever role is being done here, automatically you will inherit it. And that's why we said first scope level, child inherits every parent assignment. So if a role is assigned at this level, it will cascade up to the resource level. So such user does not need to be assigned an RBAC role at subscription level anymore. Neither does it need to be assigned role at resource group or resource level. And that is why when you want to assign a role, please tread carefully. Not every role needs to be assigned at management group. Some users don't deserve it, or they don't even need it. So there's a scenario here. A network engineer managing VNet in one resource group gets network contributor there, not at the subscription. But in this network engineer is the one managing your VNet. I get it. A network contributor is the one that all has to do with network, the NSG, the ASG, the private endpoints, and so on and so forth. But you need access into the resource group. Now, you are thinking, okay, since you need access in 3 resource group, let me just assign the role to him at the subscription level. Why? Because it captures all the resource group. Yes, excellent. But have you thought about the accounts itself? If the account is compromised, it simply means anybody can use his account to maneuver his way into the subscription and capture all the resource group at once. But the recommendation is, since what he wants to manage are in different resource group, you can go ahead and assign it to that user network contributor role at each resource group. I get it. At each resource group, that is, assign it 3 times. Smaller scope match assignments limit the blast radius when credentials are compromised. That is, in case his account is being compromised, it can easily be isolated to one particular resource group. Because if it is done at subscription level or management group, that is a disaster. And it can cause chaos. How are you getting it? It can cause. So as a cloud engineer or security engineer, such needs to be done at resource group level where they need it. And that is why I said find applicable roles, any scope, access control role, then search for service name. That is, sometimes we discover that some people just assign some users contributor role that they don't even need. Why don't you look at this job title? You're a network administrator. You don't need contributor role. You are doing a backup. You don't need contributor role. Why don't you assign that tax or that service he wants to render and look for that role? We have over 1,000. I think close to 1,000. Yes. Let me check. We have close to thousands. If we check here, we have close to 1,000. Yes, close to 1,000. All you have to do is to search for that role. How are you getting it? Apologies, my internet is a bit slow. So all you have to do is to search for that particular tax that he wants to do, than giving him contributor role. Just like that. So child scope automatically inherits every role assignment from their parent. Azure RBAC alone cannot block an inherited permission. Yes, it cannot block, because once a role is assigned at this level, automatically it will cascade down to the resource level. So this user have more privilege. And that is why, as a class security, you need to always check. That is, assigning Azure role at the correct scope with the least privilege role prevent security incidents and reduce administrative overhead. So always look for least privilege, I get it, because that is part of zero trust. So don't just give any user a role that is too big, or at the end of the day, it's just one off. They don't need it anymore. So under it, we have what they call manage identity role. I think we discussed it probably when we were doing keywords, that we have two types of manage identity. So, excuse me, manage identity can be also assigned an RBAC role. And what manage identity brings to the table is it helps to eliminate credentials from workload authentication. That is, assigning roles to manage identity is a security engineer core responsibility, because it determines what resource and application automation can access. I get it. You know, I mentioned something probably in the keywords class, that's manage identity still within Azure while serving principal. You can use it outside. High getting it is outside Azure, because manage identity needs to be tied. It can be system assigned or user assigned. The system assigned is tied to the resource lifecycle. So if we delete a virtual machine or a function app or a container, then automatically that identity is being deleted. That's all. For a user assigned, it does not depend on the lifecycle of the resource. It is a standalone. Hello, am I audible?
Yes,
Yes,
you are.
yes,
Okay.
you absolutely are.
Okay, great. So user assigned is an independent identity that you can create on its own. It's not tied to any life cycle of any resource. And you can use it for many resources at the same time. It will work perfectly. System assigned and user assigned, can they coexist? Yes, they can. You can have both of them running concurrently in your tenant for a particular resource. I get it. You can have both of them running. You can have both of them running for a particular resource. Somebody's talking in the background. Please help us mute the mic. So you can have both of them running at the same time. Please, can you mute the mic? Okay. So you can have both of them running at the same time. So the way you assign RBAC role to your user, to group, to service principal, same thing is applicable to your managed identity, either user assigned or system assigned. So least privilege principle applies identically also to your managed identity. So a managed identity can read secrets from one keyword to another, but it doesn't mean that you need to assign that managed identity a keyword administrator. So all what we are saying is, don't just assign a role to a user at subscription level. Not all users needs to have that kind of permission because that is overprivilege. It gives room for many access. It gives room for them to have visibilities and access to all the resource group under that subscription. Let there be business justification. In my own environment, what we do is you raise tickets, then if you said you want contributor role, there must be justification. There must be your manager's approval. How you getting into it? Why am I even assigning you contributor role at subscription level? There must be a concrete approval and justification to back it up. If not, we will downgrade it to resource group. That's what we do in our own department. We just downgrade to resource group and assign it to that. We cannot assign you a contributor role at resource subscription level. We can only do it for resource group. So if there is no concrete justification to back up your claims. And also people that, okay, also another scenario is like a lot of people request for when you're doing log analytics, since we are security personnel that want to have access to log analytics workspace. Some require contributor role, but no, there are some log analytics what they call RBAC role. And what we do is we check what kind of access are you looking for? And we look at, okay, which of the log analytics workspace do you even need access to? Then we assign the RBAC role on that log analytics workspace, which falls in that resource group, not at the subscription level. So let's move to custom role. Like I mentioned, we have close to 8,000 built-in roles in Azure. Let me check again whether it is labeled. So we have close to 8,000 built-in roles in Azure. The recommendation is scan through the built-in roles to check if the roles you are looking for, is it there, is it not there, before going ahead for a, what they call it, for a custom role. Always check first. Since it's close to 1,000, how are you getting it? Check all the built-in roles that we have. The only issue there is that is either it is too much or too less. How are you getting it? So that might lead you to have a custom role. And in the custom role, there are 4 things you need to take note of. The action. How are you getting it? Please hold on. Let me check again. Let me duplicate this. Oh. Okay, why is loading? Is okay. So there are 4 things you need to. There are some properties of the customer you need to take note of. There's what we call actions. That is where you have the control plane operations. Are you getting it? You have the control plane operations. So you need to check. Hold on. I want this to load. So the actions where you have the control plane operation, that is where you create, read, modify, or delete Azure resources through ARM. So, for example, now Microsoft.compute virtual machine read. That is, what does it mean? It simply means that Microsoft.compute start for virtual machine. If I get in it. Now, / virtual machine / read. That is, for virtual machine, I should be able to read, which simply means view the VM properties, restart an action, enable the restart operation, but this is read. So if I'm putting / restart / action, I should be able to restart. Highlighting that is the action the user can perform. The not action is subtract from the action, what the user should not be able to do. Even if they have the asterisk. Let me check whether this has loaded again. Okay. Some moment, please. So the not action is subtract what the user can do. That is, if I should give you / asterisk and I come to actions, and I put /delete. It simply means if this wildcard, the wildcard there simply means you have access to everything. That is, you can create, you can delete, you can modify. But once I put this /delete, that is Microsoft.compute /delete, it simply means I'm limiting what you can do on this compute, on the virtual machine. You can do any other thing, but you cannot delete. I getting it? You cannot delete. And it does not create a deny. There is no denying in the, how do you call it, in the not action. The only thing is you can only put what you don't want the user to do in the not action. What you don't want the user to do in the not action. So whereas another assignment could still grant excluded action depending on the way you created it. But the data action, that is data plane. So this simply means you are trying to read the data inside the resource itself. That is reading or writing the data stored inside a resource. But basically, this is common with keyboards and also storage. I getting it because those are the ones that have control plane and data plane. So reading or writing data stored inside a resource like blob, content, or keyboard secret. This separates manage a resource control plane from accessing what is stored inside it. So the control plan operation simply means the outside. I getting it? The outside of a box. While the data action simply means the content that's inside that box. So there are two different things. So this kind of operation is common with storage and keywords. And not data action simply means the action you cannot perform as a data action on that particular resource. And the last part there talks about assignable scope. That is, where exactly do you want to assign this role? Is it at the management scope, subscription, or resource group to be used? Must include at least the subscription where the role definition is. I'm checking I'm unable to load the portal. Okay, let's continue. Let me see whether it will come up. So the assignable scope is where exactly you want the role to be applicable to. Management group, subscription, resource group, or resource. But basically, most of the time, it's always at this subscription or resource group most of the time. So one thing thing you need to take notice. You can have up to 5, excuse me. You can have up to 5,000 custom rule, per Entra tenant. And at the same time, you can have up to 2,000 role assignment per subscription for each custom role. They are not the same. Up to 5,000 custom role definition by a tenant. But per subscription, it is 2,000 role assignments. How are you getting it? I've seen where they have exhausted the custom role. No, it's not custom role. The whole total was 6,000 in that tenant. They have 6,000 RBAC roles. But we'll look at what Microsoft recommend, because you having that kind of 6,000, to me, is either some are being redundant or some are not active, or they are just creating it based on request without doing proper review. So let's go further. So, yes, this. So Microsoft, please hold on. This, yes, I have this. So there is also Entra custom rule. Please take note. The custom rule for Entra ID and custom rule for subscription, they are not the same. They are not the same. Are getting it? Azure RBAC custom rule and Microsoft Entra ID custom rule, they are not the same. They work differently. Azure RBAC rule deals with resources. Entra ID deals with directory, that is tenants. Please, let's take note. That you have a rule on RBAC does not mean that you have a rule on Entra ID. They are not the same. This has its own resource provider. This also have its own resource provider. But for this, it's always Microsoft directory. This, depending on, for example, if it is VM, it will be Microsoft.compute. For storage, it will be Microsoft.storage, and so on and so forth, not just limited to one. So the differences. So this control access to Azure resources, while this talking about Entra ID, directory objects, users, groups, and applications. Please let's take notes. It can be created in Azure Portal, IAM, or you use ARM, Bicep, templates. But this needs to be created in Entra ID Portal. I get in Entra ID Portal. Permission source, Azure Resource Provider Action Namespace. For this, Microsoft Entra Directory Permission Set. Assignable scope, the four scope that I mentioned earlier. Management group, subscription, resource group, or resource. But for Entra ID, it is as tenant wide. You cannot filter it. It's either you have tenant wide or you have application. So any customer you are creating, it's either it is tenant, that is tenant level, or specific for application registration. That is what we have for now. So any changes you are making, any customer you created here, it will be for the old tenant or for the application. Unlike this, that you can limit it just to the subscription or resource group or resource. And maximum customer that you can have, we can only have 5,000 per this tenant, per tenant, that is tenant itself. But for Entra custom rule, you can only have 100. That is what we have for now. 100. So the keynote things there is like an Azure RBAC rule has zero effect on Microsoft Entra directory operation, and a Microsoft Entra custom rule has zero effect on Azure resources. Please take notes. They are not the same thing. They are not the same thing. Okay. Please hold on. Okay. Roles. So by default, like this tenant now, I only have 4,000. But I've seen customers exhausting this 4,000. Are you getting it? To having more than 4,000 is possible. Probably they have some dormant RBAC rule, or probably they need to do some cleanup. Are you getting it? So having rule here, all these RBAC rule that you are seeing here, why is it not showing? So all these RBAC rule, they are only for the subscription, nothing more. Subscription. Everything here you are seeing is only tied to subscription. No impact on Entra ID. No impact on Entra ID. They stays there, either custom or built-in, they stays with this, what they call it, with the subscription. Now, all the roles assigned to this user, you can see management group, they will always cascade down to the last resource. That's one thing about any role you assign to management group. So we need to understand before assigning any role, we need to know the impact of such role. So the next slide talks about the limit. That's what I just explained now. Know the ceiling, 4,000 per subscription. Well, I think Microsoft have increased it to 6,000, but they still want to maintain 4,000. In some environment, you need to, if you exceed this 4,000, I need to increase it. You need to create a ticket. And there must be business justification. But officially, it is 4,000. However, there's every room to increase to 6,000, but based on business justification. Because we discovered that there are some roles, they are being dormant that customer themselves needs to do a cleanup, that are just occupying space, not doing anything. So currently, I just support 4,000. For now, the official figure is 4,000. As you can see here, 4,000 does not change. Well, like I mentioned, like I've seen 6,000 somewhere, but probably is not, it's not yet probably released to the production. So 4,000, that's what is applicable here. And the number of role assignment that you have assigned will be listed here. I have 49, this is 4,000. No privilege role. So direct user, manage identity, group-based assignment, all count. That is system we count either for a direct user, manage identity, or group-based assignment, it will count them as an entity. Managed group assignment is being counted separately, but still inherit down to child subscription. So it will count the managed group separately. It will not count them with it. So assign to groups, not users. This is where we have a lot of issues. Let's say in a department, we have 10 users, some cells. Instead of them to assign a role to them as a group, each user will be making a request. And I believe that is not the best, because you'll be creating more, what they call it, the system will be counting as one entity. But if you assign it to a group of users, it reduces it to see them as one entity than each user making a request like, okay, assign me RBAC role, contributor role, everybody is coming, and it will be creating it one after the other. Why don't we have a group that, okay, for sales department, how many are you? 10? Then assign the contributor role to that particular group. Automatically, all the users in that group, we have that role. So when you approach the limit, group-based assignments are the fix. Assign the role once to an intra-security group, then add users to the group. Membership changes does not consume more role assignments. So 100 users can join without increasing the count. So you can just create a group, name it for that particular department or for that particular team. Once they make a request, just add them to that particular group, which is much more organized and having a lot of users making requests differently, which is not really helpful. Then automate with infrastructure as code. That is, all this is to put in place not to reach the limit. I getting it. That is what we're just trying to say. That is assignment limit. How you can manage not to exceed the 4,000. So you can also automate using infrastructure as a code for production environment, provision with Azure pipelines or ARM bicep role assignment template instead of the portal. This keep assignment consistent across the environment. Track in source control and reproducible in disaster recovery. Hard-coded portal assignment create drift and make audits difficult. How getting it? So doing it from the portal probably creates more drift. So if you are very good with or conversant with either Terraform, Bicep, or ARM templates, it is always advisable to use it, especially for production environment, so that everything is being automated and to avoid being reached the limit. Any question? Any question? Okay.
Yes, I think. Listen, good afternoon, Mr. Ajala.
Good afternoon. Yeah.
Okay, just a quick one. I want to confirm, let's say, for instance, you assign the role to a subscription for an account, and that same account, you have, let's say you assign a contributor role on the subscription level for a user for an account. And then you now, for adventure, you forgot, you now went to the resource group that is still under that subscription and assign an owner role for that same account. So which of these two roles will the user be able to operate with?
Okay, good. That's a good question. Now, it will start from subscription. In time of hierarchy, I'm going back to this slide. Management group, subscription, resource group, resource. Okay, there is a pointer like an arrow here. How you getting it? Any role you assign here, supersede any other role here. How you getting it? Now, if you move to subscription, you assign a role here. It will first start with this. How you getting it? This will take precedence first, because in time of hierarchy, that's what the system will check. It will check management group, subscription, resource group, and resource. Now, based on your question, you assign someone a subscription, a contributor role at subscription level. Now, which cascade automatically to every other resource. And mind you, subscription will capture all the resource group and all the resources. So the role here will override what is here. I get in it. It will start here. Yeah. So that rule, that owner rule, will only take effect at resource group level, not at the subscription level. So the contributor rule will first take charge here, down. So if the guy is not dealing with just probably like a resource group level, then that is where the rule will not kickstart. So back to your question, contributor rule will override because this supersede every other thing. Are you getting it? It happens a lot. Your question is very technical, and as we have seen it a lot. And people try to argue it until we reference the documentation. I think there is Microsoft documentation that talks about it, like in terms of hierarchy, it starts from here to the next year, to the next, and to the next. So the controller will take charge first. I getting it. We take charge first, and we cascade down. So the owner rule will really take effect from here because this supersedes this. Have I answered your question?
Yeah, that's clear.
Okay. So let's go back. This is where we no, I've not gotten here. So we are here. So now, how do we evaluate and remediate overprivileged access? How are you getting it? Overprivileged access. See, this is common in every organization. This is common a lot. How are you getting it? Very common that someone that does not need owner role is requesting for owner role. And in some organizations, you can't question some things. How are you getting it? And once you assign role assignments, you cannot revoke it, except there's a request. You know, especially when there's a ticket, when you are running a ticketing system. How are you getting it? You are running a ticketing system. There must be a ticket for everything. I get it. So you can't just go there and remove the role or revoke it automatically. And in some organizations, they set a policy. You must review every 6 months. So when you assign a role, they use PIM and it to be 6 months. That is their rules. In some organization, by default, it is 1 year from PIM. We are using PIM to assign a role. By default, it is 1 year. So that after a year, you should review it. So assigning roles correctly is only half of RBAC governance. The other problem is finding and fixing overprivileged assignment that already exists. Why? Because probably you just got a job and you were given some tasks to review. You know, you are new on the job. You can't just go there and be like, why are you giving this person this role? Why are you giving it? No, you need to take your time. So that is why it can be an harder problem in finding and fixing. So yeah, you learn how to identify overprivileged role assignment and remediate them using, you can use the vendor for cloud and Microsoft Entra Access Review. How are you getting it? Either you use the vendor for cloud, CMPM, CIEM, or Microsoft Entra Access Review. But the most common one is Access Review. The most common one is Access Review. So overprivileged category, standing privilege at excessive scope, risk profile, active user at owner at subscription when they need contributor at resource group. So we are using Defender for cloud. So this will help you to analyze and highlight it. Dormant assignments. Your some accounts with role assignment, no authentication for the next 90 days. Are you getting it? They are just being assigned, but they are not being active on Azure. Or probably the employee has left the system, or probably you are using a service account. How you getting? This is common. It can be a service account or former employee no longer in use. You know, in some environments, once an employee resigns, they disable the account first and leave every other thing that they will come back, thinking that they will come back. Mind you, they might have forgotten. The only thing they just did is to disable that. The user should not have access. But that user is still occupying some roles, some role assignments, and it remained dormant. It only takes time for someone to like, oh, let me scan through the environment. So Defender for cloud can also help in that area, and guest accounts with elevated access. This probably like there's a business B2B, or probably there's a project you are working with another company. So external user holding contributor role or IR role as subscription scope. Probably when they are done with their project, nobody will go back to go and check again that why are we still assigning this user some roles. So you can combine both Defender for Cloud Identity Recommendation and Azure Advisor, which help. So Defender for Cloud will require Defender CMPM, Cloud Security Posture Management. So there is free and there is paid. So it will require the plan, the CSP plan, to be able to activate it. Then Azure Advisor, we always advise you based on privilege role that you have. It's always advised on based on the privilege role that you have. Let me see if I can search. Apologies, my internet has been somehow advised. So it will advise you, but basically the most efficient one that I use a lot is, and what do you call it? Access review. I get in it. Access review. It is very, very efficient and reliable. Why? Because it's a formal mechanism for evaluating whether existing rule are still justified. How getting it? So there is a designated reviewer, managers, resource owner, or users themselves to confirm or deny that each assignment is still needed. So this is very, very helpful. All you have to do is go to your entry ID, identity governance, access review. So it's not free. It requires P2 license. It requires, but I think, yes, identity it requires P2 license. However, if you want to go further, because Microsoft just released a license, there's what they call Microsoft governance license, something like that. So, but for the access review for this, P2 is okay. So set reviewer, you need to set a reviewer, manager automatic from HR data, specific people or the user themselves. Then set the review type to Azure resource role or Entra role. So you can use it for both RBAC and Entra ID roles, depending on what you are reviewing. Set duration to 14 or 30 days, recommended for a first review. Then select the scope, the subscription with the suspicious assignments. Targeting it. Upon completion setting, set apply results automatically to yes. And if reviewer don't respond, then remove access. That is, the people that are supposed to, the managers, the resource owner, or the user themselves, if they fail to respond to it, then you can tell the system to revoke the access automatically. So you can use it for any other role that you have a concern, owner role, contributor role, or your specific role of the concern, then start the review. So it will always list out all the people targeting that hold on to this role and they have been dormant or not using it for the last. So you can do it for the last 90 days or 6 months, depending on the review that you want to set it to. But for the last 30 days, getting it. That person has not used the role. So approve and the assignment remains, deny or don't respond, and it's revoked automatically when the review closes. So if reviewer don't respond, remove access. Getting it. If there's no response from anybody, just remove the access. There's no need of going back and forth. There's no need going back and forth, rather than requiring explicit action. No. So if there's no response from anyone, from the manager, resource owner, or the users themselves, revoke the access. Why? Because access will create an audit trail for compliance purposes. So each approval or denier is logged with the reviewer identity and timestamp. So these help. So the audit entry helps to provide evidence that organization is actively managing role assignment rather than letting them accumulate indefinitely. That is, rather than being dormant, not doing anything in the environment. The access to you help you to manage that. Oh, this user is active. This user is not active. So you can be able to determine, okay, the dormant account or the account that has not logged in for the past 30 days. So the internet is slow. Okay, these are your advisor. All you have to do is just search the access review. Also, you can search for it, or probably you go through this identity governance, your entry ID, identity governance. Okay, let me just continue since. Okay, oh, I think it's coming up. It's coming up. coming up. So this is actual review. So check. So we can also use it for application. It's not only for RBAC or Entra ID, highlighting it, depending on what you want to review. So, okay, don't worry. Let me just keep explaining. So, but this is very efficient. It helps a lot. Highlighting. It helps to give record of what is happening. So if there's an approval, it will match it with a reviewer identity and timestamp. If there's a denial one, it will match it with reviewer and identity and timestamp. So that in case of audit, you can present it like, oh, I ran a check, and based on my finding, this is what I could be able to deduce from the reports, and you can present it. So the right sizing outcomes, what to do with the findings. Once you get those findings, I get after access review, or you use Microsoft Cloud for Defender, Defender for Cloud, Microsoft Defender for Cloud, remove entirely. That is dormant accounts with no active use. Former employees, contractor, or the provision service accounts. No authentication in the last 90 days. No active work. Remove the assignment immediately. There's no need of wasting time. Just remove them to avoid issues, because leaving those accounts not being active can create a loophole for the attackers to come into environment. We have what we call insider threats. Someone that has probably resigned, he might just probably try his luck once sometimes ago. Probably try his luck and see whether the account is still active. Let me try and cause an havoc in the environment. And how are you going to mitigate it? And before you know it, your mind might not go towards those employees that have left the system or the contractors are getting it, or the service account itself. You might not even go through, because it might take time, but what signing logs and audit log are always there for you to check to see the way they work. Another thing is downgrade to a less permissible role. Okay, this user is active, they need access, but not an owner level. How are you getting it? Not an owner level. Remove the owner assignment and grant contributor or a service specific role at resource group scope instead of subscription scope. How are you getting it? Instead of subscription scope, don't just give them owner role just like that. Like I mentioned earlier on, we have close to 1,000 built-in roles. So you might just match it with their job title. Are you getting it? Okay, you are Kubernetes engineer or Docker engineer. You can search all the listed roles that we have. Is there a Kubernetes administrator, or is there a Docker? Are you getting it? You can check to see if the such role exists. If they exist, assign that role to them. Don't just assign a role based on like, oh, he's my friend, I know him, he can't misbehave. No. That's why I say zero trust. Always verify. Trust no one. Always verify. Check. And let it, if it's an environment where you run, where there's a ticketing system, let it be documented. Please don't just remove any rule without a justification. Target needs. Let everything go through your, either your supervisor, your team lead, or your manager, depending on any kind of organogram that you are running. Let them be aware and back it up with justification. Like, oh, you did a check and you scored this person as owner role. Why? And based on your analysis and based on your findings, you think that this user should not have owner role, but a contributor role at resource group level. You can back it up. Also, another thing you can put in place is convert it to PIM eligible. By getting it. PIM eligible simply means that you assign a role to a user. So anytime this user wants to use this role, it needs to activate it. Now, you can put a clause to it. You can put MFA and business justification when such user wants to activate that role by getting it. So, and it can also put approver. That is, anytime is requesting that I want to use a global admin role, someone should get a notification and look at it like, oh, Femi wants to use global admin role. Why? For this purpose. Is there a ticket attached to it? at least there should be something reasonable to back up its finding. And the manager or anybody that is above should check and look at it and say, oh, okay, approve. Once it is approved, the role will kickstart. I get in it. That is, users who occasionally need elevated role but don't need it standing. So it is eligible that you use. Don't use active for them. So replace the standing assignment with a privileged identity eligible one. That is, access requested then expires automatically. That is, let there be a time period. Normally, some people they set it to 8 hours, some 3 hours, depending on the configuration. So once the time expires, the role will be revoked from that user automatically. If the user is not done with the role or whatever task he or she is doing, she will need to request again. That's the way it works. The person will need to request again and someone else needs to approve. Excuse me. So the last one is some rules that you need to let it be. I get it. They need to be there. Because probably it is needed. So all you have to do is to document, retain with documentation. Assignment confirmed are still needed at the current level, stay in place. So the access to approval create the audit trail that justify access during compliance results. So all you have to do is to document it. I get it. And it is always advisable to always schedule access review on your current time. I get either quarterly for owner and contributor at subscription scope or semi-annually. I get it. Your recurring reviews prevent assignment backlog from accumulating again. So this helps you to checkmate. Targeting the role assignment that you have done so far. Is it occupying space or is it not needed, just to ensure that you're on top of it, like your environment is being secure and there is no loophole? Because as a security engineer, your job is to make sure that environment is secure every time. Okay, that is for our back. So move to the next module. Yep, this is module 5. This talk about Azure backup. So there are two controls that form the foundation of Azure backups. That is enhanced soft delete and vault immutability. They are very, very important. What do they do? The enhanced soft delete, immediately permanent deletion of recovery points. So that is what it prevents, immediately permanent deletion of recovery points. The configuration commitment, reversible or always on, that is irreversible when it is always on. And the second one, the second control, vault immutability, that is modification or deletion of recovery points before retention expire. So is either it is reversible or you lock it. Why are we talking about this? Because it's a backup. It does not mean that you can just leave it anyhow. I get it. By default, Azure backups enable it for every default. I get it. The soft delete by default. So you just need to protect your environment. And this protection becomes generally available region by region. It can no longer be turned off from the portal once it is enabled. But soft delete deletion, it can now be from 14 days to 180 days. The default is 14. I get it. The longer period you give more time to detect advanced persistent threats, then the always on soft delete. This makes the retention period itself irreversible. Once enabled, no user or global admin can reduce or disable it on a default. I get it. No user can do that. But for production vault, where you protect your business critical data, at least configure 90 days of soft delete retention. I get it. 90 days. Make it 90 days. Because soft delete is the first layer of defense, while vault mutability and multi-user authorization provide the other layers. I get it. Even for your keywords, under keywords, we have soft delete, which is not even enabled by default. But at least make it 90 days. So that in case you need to come back to it, or probably it was a mistake, somebody needs to take a look at it, so you can easily come back to it. So soft delete is just the first layer of defense. Then the vault immutability, it has what we call the warm lock, that is the write once and read many. So The vote immutability stop backups policy from being weakened and stop backup data from being deleted before retention period expires. So the WOM simply means write once, read many, which guarantee enforce at the vote level. So we have these three states. Excuse me. If it is disabled, no protection. That is the default for existing votes. However, the administrator can modify policy and delete data freely. If it is enabled, it simply means the immutability is active. So recovery point cannot be deleted and policy cannot be modified to reduce retention. But this can be turned off if requirements change. It can be turned off if requirement change. And the last option, enabled and lock. Enable and lock.
What of your other people?
So somebody is making noise. Let me mute. Okay. So if it's enabled and lock, it is irreversible. Are you getting it? With the global admin self, they don't have any power over it. So there is a target for your security posture. It should be excellent. We have 4. The 4th tier, it should be excellent, good, fair, or poor. So if it is excellent, it simply means you have this enabled, immutability lock and multi-user authorization enabled, or always on delete plus this enabled. If it is good, you have this immutability enabled and lock or sub-delete enabled, any configuration. So either you have any one of them, immutability and lock or sub-delete enabled. But fair, you have the MUA, multi-user authorization enabled only, without immutability or enhanced sub-delete, which is for poor, none. So the default for new votes, targeting it. So this lock state provides the stronger protection, targeting it. So it is always good to be at this tier, excellent. However, if it's not possible, just make sure you have good. You can check this from Azure backup. If it is enabled, you see you will always measure it and tell you the tier that you belong to. So the multi-user authorization, that is closing the configuration gap. So 2 things are involved: lock immutability and always on delete, only up once configured. But that still takes a vote administrator whose credential could be compromised first. So what is happening here is the resource guard closes the gap. That is a second administrator. He will be the one to approve any operation that could weaken the vote posture. But the admin cannot hold contributor or backup MAU admin or backup MAU operator on it, because they could self-approve. So it is dangerous for the admin to hold all these roles for him himself. So always protected cannot be excluded. That it disables soft delete or security to prevent removal of soft delete, Windows or other security settings. Then if you remove MAU protection, then prevent disabling MAU itself. So an attacker can clear the gatekeeper before other destructive operation. So there are 9 more operations protected by default, except the last option, which is restore. So you have delete operation. If it is enabled, default enabled, this stop backup and delete all recovering points. If it is modified operation, add the policy and reduce retention or higher RPU, that's recovery points. Objective, modify policy, get back security pin. All these operations are for backup. So if it is enabled, this is what it does for your environment. And the last one is restore, which is disabled. Perform restore operation on backup items. So it's not always enabled. So for you to configure MUA, that is multi-user authorization, these 3 rules are very important to carry it out. It's a long step. Excuse me. It's a very long steps. So, but the same person can hold multiple roles in a small range, but each role needs a separate account to preserve technical role separation. How I getting it? It's not always ideal for just one singular person to have all these roles. security administrator, vault administrator, and resource guard owner. But if it's a smaller organization, why not? I get it. So step one, you need to create a resource guard. So you require a security administrator role, which creates the resource guard in subscription, separate from where the recovery service vault is being created. It needs to be created in another subscription. Then the next step, the vault admin as reader on the resource guard, so which helps to read access to resource guard. And the last one, they must not have contributor that is mentioned here. Any of these rules allow self-approval. So any of these 4 rules, contributor, backup, MAU operator on the resource guard, give room for self-approval without needing anybody to approve it. So you can choose to have resource guard in another subscription of the same directory. Targeting, you can choose to have it. Then the last one is configure the vault to use multi-user authorization. The vault administrator configure the vault to enforce MAU using resource guard. So after the configuration, any protected attempt by the vault administrator generates a request for the resource guard owner approval. You can see it will generate resource guard owner approval, including full context of the operation and who requesting it. So this will generate it, and the resource guard owner will be the one to approve critical operations request. That is why it is always better to have a neutral person taking this role. If just one person is having all these 3 roles, he will do everything by himself, and accountability might be missing. But the good thing is, whoever is requesting for it, it will be captured for it to be carry out any operation on it. So the backup RBAC rules that we have 3. So we are looking at the minimum privilege for backup operation. Targeting it. So there are 3 built-in RBAC rule with different privileges. So assign rule based on principle of least privilege. Users should have minimum permission required to perform their job function. If you notice, we have been hammering on least privilege. Getting it. And even in the exams, it's always least privilege that they will ask you. They will give a scenario and they ask you, okay, working on this, which least privilege route were you able to use to achieve these tasks? So always take note of that. So we have 3, the backup contributor, backup operator, backup reader. Getting it. So there are 3 for them to perform their job. But if you look at it, the backup contributor looks more like IRO. Getting it. Vault setup and security configuration. The backup operator is for day-to-day activities and automated operation. And your backup reader, monitoring and audits and ethics. So in normal day-to-day work, you only need backup operator. That does it. You don't need backup operator. You can reserve backup contributor for vault setup and security configuration. If there is no need for that, just maintain backup operator, because backup operator limits the blast radius of compromised service credentials. Getting it. For automated work, backup will still do the job conveniently. So the user does not need to have what they call the backup contributor, except you want to start up, or you want to configure the vault, that is recovery service point vault initially, starting from the scratch. That's where you need this role. But normal today job, you need a backup operator, while others just remain the same. Why the backup reader? Anything reader is to read our view. Getting what is happening, the job status, the recovering points, and it doesn't have the ability to make any changes. So that is why backup operator is recommended. So this is the last part of Module 5. There's what we call CMK, that is customer managed key encryption for recovery points. So we have 2. There is platform managed keys and there is customer managed keys. Now the platform managed keys is managed by Microsoft. Microsoft manages the key, the rotation, the infrastructure, and they use AES 2.5 encryption at rest with 0 configuration. So this meets your security and compliance requirement for most organizations because it's secured. However, there are some environments where there's more security conscious, or probably they need to be security compliance. So there's a requirement for them to have what they call CMK. So that is, your key needs to live in your own Azure keywords, where you control the lifecycle, rotational policy, and access permission. So this gives organizations that must own their cryptography material added data sovereignty assurance. Are you getting it? So this is common with some security compliance requirements. So that's why you see some of them always have their key in keywords, because they want you to be customer managed, and that is to be the one to manage your key yourself. So once you enable CMK on a vault, you cannot revert. You cannot change to platform managed keys. You cannot. So and CMK only works on new vaults with no backup as item registered. So you cannot migrate an existing vault. So it only works on newly created vaults. How are you getting it? On newly created vaults. So if it's a compliance requirement, configure it at vault creation. That's where you need to do it. You need to configure it at vault creation. Set up your keywords, grant your vault manage identity access to the key, then enable CMK under properties. So once it's an existing vault, you cannot enable it. Please, let's take note. Okay, any question? At what point access back row manage is an innovation and what triggers law assignments? Okay, someone asks, at what point do you access our back row or manage identity role in an organization and what triggers role assignments? Well, Joseph, for your question, I need clarity. He said, at what point do you access our back row or manage identity role in an organization and what triggers the role assignment? Now, if you're working on a project, it's a different ballgame. If you are doing support like class security role, normal class security role, it's a different, how will I call it, scenario. Number one, there will be it if you are running a ticketing system. For example, now you can say either ServiceNow or Jira, any one of them, there will be a ticket request. And in that ticket request, there will be a requirement of what they want to achieve. I get it. So if there is no clarification of what they want to achieve, you have every right to ask the person that created the ticket some question. I get it. But if it's a project, you have a cloud architect or cloud security architect that will look at the project deployment. It will be the one to tell you like, okay, for this virtual machine, we need a managed identity to carry out this particular task. So it will be highlighted in the project because it's a project. So for every steps, it will be listed. I get it. Where it needs to be enabled, what needs to be done. But if it's not a project that day-to-day activities, there will be a ticket to it. And if it comes to you, the person requesting will mention that, oh, I need help in creating or in enabling my identity on this resource and having this RBAC on it. So it is now your duty to look at the RBAC itself in question and say, okay, hope is not too much, or is it within what the user wants to do? I get it. That's why I answer it in two different, as I said, at what point do you access RBAC? But actually, RBAC is for resources. My identity is also for resources. How are you getting it? My identity is the one for most of the time authentication. You want to authenticate. You want to avoid human interactions. So it can be system assigned. It can be user assigned. I think governance. Okay, I'll be dropping this line. I need to take care of things. Okay. So I think I've answered that question. Who else again? So I think that is what it's called me. Identity governance help with auditing. Yes, correct. It helps with audit. Identity governance access review. Apologies, my internet the portal is not loading. I think because of the internet. So it helps with auditing. I getting it. So auditing can be carried out either with external partners. I getting it. People collaborate with PwC, EY, and I'm familiar with those two guys. I get in PwC or EY. They come around to check whether you are compliant or not. I get in it. So they carry it out. Okay, please, I'll be dropping. Okay, I think those are the questions. Okay. Any other question? Let's move forward. I think this is the last module. Okay. Scan IAC template. How are you getting it? That is infrastructure as code, the templates, the DevOps engineer, they deal with template most of the time. But sometimes you need to scan it to avoid, we talk about this when we're talking about keywords, to avoid some misconfiguration in their coding, because some of them don't know. They don't know. So all you have to do is to scan it and look out for the loopholes where they have exposed the secrets, where there is app misconfiguration or password sometimes in their code. I get it. Please let's mute mic. Okay. So sometimes they need to check someone to scan it. I get it. So, but this is done during code review, not after deployment. Once it is deployed, it has been deployed. So the only when you can scan it, it is before they do the deployment. So we have scanning approach. We have to. I get it. There are some environments, once they build an application, they will send it to the security team and they will do risk assessments. That is, help me check this application, the loopholes, the weak area, and recommendation. And you can use Microsoft Defender for cloud. Some people use Wiz, I get it, which is a third party. They integrate with system. It will mention it, all those loopholes, the misconfiguration of it will check the URL, check the application. It will identify all the loopholes in the application, whether it is exposed to the internet, the storage supposed to have, where on the storage where you need to disable adminers or you need to make it private, so on and so forth like that. And you send everything as an email. So they call it risk assessment on those resources. The scanning approach, we have the pipeline scanning, that is MSDO. So when it runs on every commit or pull request. I get it. So it's run on every commit. Use case, fast feedback before merge. But the agentless scanning that is coming from Defender for Cloud is every 24 hours automatically. It is centralized. No pipeline changes. So how do you connect them? You go to your Defender for Cloud, environment settings, add your environment. Choose whether you're using GitHub or Azure DevOps. So you need to log in with the account. Then you authorize access, a GitHub app application or an Azure DevOps authorization or personal access token, that is PAT connection. Findings begin generating automatically under recommendation and filter to the DevOps category. For schedule agentless coverage to open your connector settings, DevOps threat landscape, then toggle IAC, scan on. I get it. You toggle it so that it can scan. But please take note, it is run before deployment, not after deployment. So for the Microsoft Security DevOps, it runs security analysis directly in your CI/CD, that is continuous integration and continuous development pipeline, either as a GitHub action or as a DevOps task. So by default, it scans for secrets, code issues, containers, and IAC misconfiguration. But you need to set the category to IAC to scope the scan template. So it will check for these 4 things: secrets, the code issue, the container, the IAC misconfiguration, that it will review the templates, check what is wrong. For the GitHub, it looks like this: run Microsoft Security DevOps, uses Microsoft/Security DevOps at version 1. Then you set the category to IAC. For the DevOps, Microsoft Security DevOps at 1, input category IAC 1. So the reason why we are using that version 1 is you need to ping the action to a specific version. I get it. That's why I'm using at version 1. So you need to ping the action to a specific version. I get it. Rather than putting latest at latest. No, you must be specific. I get it. So pinning prevents unexpected breaking changes from new releases silently affecting your pipeline. So you want to avoid unexpected breaking changes. So that's why you are setting it to version 1. How you getting it? So findings from your MSDO service at GitHub coding, code scanning alerts in your GitHub repository, or your pipeline automation in your Azure DevOps. So all the findings are made in your Defender for Cloud under recommendation, which is runs within 24 hours. How getting it? So there you can see a centralized view of your IAC compliance across repository. So the MSDO catches what it catches and where the finding surface. So he has two. He used two scanning engines, the template analyzer and checkvol. So the template analyzer is basically for, I would say, Microsoft, because it's ARM and bicep templates for Azure specific misconfiguration, insecure transfer, weak TLS, missing diagnostic logs, open public access, and more. I get it. So that's what it checks in your template, either bicep or ARM. But checkvol is an open source. I get an open source because it provides broader coverage across IAC languages and cloud providers. I get it. So it doesn't limit itself to bicep and ARM. Terraform, Kubernetes, Docker, and Helm. So it's built for mixed IAC. That is, can do both multi-cloud environments. So the platform for GitHub put scanning alerts under your security tab, plus a pass and fail check on the pull request with severity and remediation guidance. So this shows the severity and remediation, what needs to be done. For the DevOps, so the pipeline automation in the build results, listing each violation with a link to remediation detail. I getting it. So for the enforcement, require MSDO check to pass in GitHub brand protection rules or Azure DevOps. Block high critical findings while letting low severity true for later review. I getting it. You can tell the system to block any high or critical findings. But low severity, well, if it's not going to impact your environment, I will just say, don't let it go. Check everything. Because if you say it's because it's low severity, let me leave it. It might come back and hunt you. And for the Defender for Cloud, it injects the findings within 24 hours. So every finding is within 24 hours. So it will provide the updates on what is happening on them so that you can able to take actions. Well, not all customers use Defender for Cloud. We have different, what do you call it? Different security apparatus that some people use. I mentioned Wiz. Some prefer to use Wiz to scan their environment. I get it. It's a choice, but for the purpose of learning, we are looking at Defender for Cloud. But in some environments, they might be using a different tools. So policy as a code from workflow to enterprise scale. So pipeline scanning protect the CI and CD parts, but not every deployment goes through the pipeline. Yes, not every deployment goes through pipeline. It depends. So there are two layers. You can combine the two together, the MSOD scanning and Azure policy. So you can do enforcement for MSO, CI/CD pipeline, then the template to go to the template. You can also set Azure policy to deny getting it, especially Azure Resource Manager API. That is, every deployment path, you must check it, either CLI, Portal, API, or pipeline. Or the pipeline. So for the Azure policy, before you go for enforcement, you need to start, write the policy first. Either you use built-in or use custom in your source control alongside the IAC template. First, set it to audit mode. That is the effect. Set it to audit first to observe compliance without blocking anything. Then validate to confirm the policy catches the real violation with no false positive. I get it. Once you validate, that is where you can promote to deny, so that you don't just disrupt what is happening in your environment. Because if you set it to deny first, it will affect any other new deployment. But the existing one, it'll be showing that's not compliant. So always set it since you are just doing it for the first time. And that is why in some environments, you must start with non-production. I get it, with non-production first. Observe it, see the way it's going to react. and see the implication, so that by the time you're going to the production environment, you had all the information on what to do next. So once you validate and confirm that the policy catches the violation, you can promote to deny, that is, change the effect to deny for production scope, then monitor it, that is, track ongoing compliance through your Azure policy report. That is, go to Azure policy dashboard, check the, what do you call it, the compliance reports. Scaling this across hundreds of subscriptions, there's what we call enterprise policy as code, an open source PowerShell module, which deploys an update policy assignment from a single pipeline across management group and detect drift from what is live in Azure. I get it. So this helps to capture all the subscriptions instead of doing it one by one. So since it operates across every management group, and your management group captures all the subscriptions, so it is very easy to be able to check without doing it one by one. I getting it. One by one for each subscription. So this is an open, well, this is also an open source. So you can also use it to check. Secure your bicep authoring pattern, that is, fix findings at the source. There are 3 patterns to fix common miscompilation at the source before template analyzer or Cheval ever runs. Number 1, use at secure, open bracket and close bracket, on sensitive parameters. I get it. That it applies at secure decorator to any parameter holding your secret or credential. So it keeps the value out of deployment history logs, cutting off a common path to credential exposure. So what it does is, like, it helps to hide the secret. So if you go and check the deployment history, they will not be able to see. Excuse me. It's not able to expose the secret. I get it. So that is why it is always good to use at secure to protect any sensitive data. Then reference keywords. Don't add code. I get it. Don't add code. Reference keyword secret using existing keyword and get secret to avoid add coding sensitive value in parameters file. So secret references keep secrets centralized in keywords instead of scattered across parameter files in the source control. So don't accode it. Then the last one is assign manage identity, not service principal. Why? Because instead of service principal credentials, so manage identity to resource, manage identity eliminate the need to pass credentials through template entirely. So removing a common source of secret exposed in IAC template. So manage identity, since it's not, it is within Azure, either you're using system or user assigned. So it helps to remove the need to pass credentials through templates at all. So it eliminates a common source of secret exposure in your IAC templates. That is either in your bicep, in your UI template, or any third party you are using. Yeah, see. Let me check question. So I'm new to this guy. I'm new to this guy. So I sometimes struggle to understand these last 3 classes. I'm struggling to link. Is there any volunteer role? Please attendance link, chop. I need to take up a private to learn more. Well, Timothy Abraham said you are new. Okay. Okay. SC 500, to be honest with you, is an advanced topic. I get it. You must have understood SC 200, 300, 200 and 300 a little bit, and probably easy 500. So fine, I understand it might look much more advanced, but the topic itself is a bit more advanced. I get it. So for you to catch up, you might need to go back to the basis. I mentioned that, excuse me, before I started, I mentioned this area that you need to, your fundamentals, pattern navigation, Microsoft security tools, RBAC, general security fundamentals. Then we already look at this RBAC today. So you might need to capture with these 6 topics. I get it. That can help to give like overview of what we have done so far. Even this topic that we are looking at, if you go and read the module, the information there are too bulky. I get it. So I just try to like break it down without missing some important information. So you might need to go back and just read through. Okay, yeah, even AZ104, yes, AZ104 will be helpful, yes, because AZ104 touches almost all the topic in Azure, all the topics in Azure, and is the hardest topic I get in it, or course in Azure, because it touches round of Kubernetes, container, everything. So if you can go back to AZ104, you can easily capture up. Yes, that's a good one. Thank you very much. Okay, lastly, so summary. So the summary in short, that is what we'll look at. Enforce governance with Azure policy, then lock down critical resources with resource locks. We talked about this last week. Then we also to look at how to configure security standard in Defender for Cloud and how to remediate from combination before they become findings. Then the right size of our back row, like what we said, they should be assigned at resource group level. Check them. Don't have overprivileged access. It's where you are supposed to have least privilege. And the last part is regulatory compliance continuously, because you don't stop checking. I get it. Why? Because attackers also are not sleeping. You might be checking, but your developers, your users, your end users, are they doing the same thing? Are they doing the same thing? So they might not be doing the same thing. So the onus lies with you, because as a security expert or a class security, you need to also be checking your environment and ensure that it's compliance. So I will stop here. So like I mentioned, your SC300, your SC100, I get it, will be helpful for Timothy Abraham. Can go back and check. So any question? So let me apologize again. The lab, I'd love to do the lab, but my internet is bad because it's dragging. And I sincerely apologize for this. I get it. I'll show you a lot of things. And the lab, this is the lab. This is the lab in question that I was supposed to do. This is the lab. We are to deploy a bicep, an Azure policy through bicep. I get it. So we are not writing any templates. It's already here already. It's one of these folder. Then run PowerShell, test it, then create a custom role and see the way it works. Oh, apologies once again. The internet has been funny. So this is the bicep that we are supposed to use. This is it. We are supposed to use is already written down already. All you have to do is to upload to Cloud Shell, run the PowerShell, then explain it the way it works. But probably we'll find another time to do this. Any question? Let me drop it. However, you can play around with it. It's a straightforward lab. The steps are written already. If you can follow through, I'll also be available in the chat. I'll drop it on WhatsApp. I sincerely apologize. Nigerian network. I thought this would be fixed today, but unfortunately. So what we want to achieve is to build a Azure policy, review it, deploy a custom tag, create a custom role, evaluate and remediate an overprivilege, then apply cannot delete resource lock. So fine, it will take an hour. We will do the lab on later date. Yes, we'll do it on later date. I will beg the admin to give us like any other day. I don't want to disrupt because everything has been what do you call it? each of the weekend has been occupied. So probably I'll probably beg the moderator, but either one Sunday, if we just that one Sunday, then come and do the lab, start afresh, refresh the topic a little bit, then we do the lab, then we complete it. So I'll also drop it on the WhatsApp.
All right. Thanks
So
so much, Mentor Tosin. I think I'll just need you to take probably a chilled water or wine while people brace up for questions. Well done. I think to a large extent, been quite expository. But then in the event, there are gray areas in what I've been treated so far. So not an issue. You always have access to the replay. With that, we can catch up. And considering the fact that the lab couldn't really be worked on as expected, but just like he has mentioned, so just arrange for a time. Saturdays are already filled. So we have this, I would say the entire 5-6 months booked with different facilitators. So for that reason, we wouldn't be able to do this next Saturday. But just like you mentioned, probably look at a Sunday, either tomorrow or the coming one, to fix 1 hour, and then we can go through this. I'm sure by then the whole thing will make much sense. Okay, please, if every disappointment, like we always say in this part of the world, is a blessing. I think this affords us the opportunity to ask questions. So, and I'm sure is more than ready to attend to those questions. Please signify with a raise of hand if you have questions and you'll be called upon. And if you are in a position where you really can't speak, you can just drop in the chat and I will read it for him to attend those questions. Okay, I'm seeing something. I don't know if it has been attended to before now. In module 4, that is by Adeni Familua. In module 4, you mentioned that
yeah, I
user
just replied
request.
to it.
Okay.
Okay,
All right.
let me just explain.
That's fine.
See, security
All
group and M365 group are not the same. I get it. Now, basically, I categorize security group as administrative group. I get it. Why M365 group is more of exchanging of information, collaboration. I get it. For example, if you create a security group, you can do what they call role assignable group to it. Same thing is applicable to M365, but you need to understand based on the request. I get it. I prefer to assign roles to security group than M365 group because M365 group is more of collaboration because once you create M365 group, it will create an email automatically. You can have Teams, you can have SharePoint, you can have Outlook. But security group, it doesn't give room for that. Strictly business. I get it. Strictly business. So that group, you know that they are administrative group. So you can assign a role to that group. You know that, okay, this security group, I'm creating for this purpose. But M365 group, it can go beyond more than administrative. I get it. So for your question, I will go for security group. Security group will be the best option than M365 group. Because now M365 group I just only support two. I just support security group and M365 group. But in M365 itself, it support more than two. It support up to 4. There is security enabled group. I get it. There is distribution group in M365. You see, those two groups are visible in Azure, but you cannot operate. That's why, I don't want to go too far, but I just support 2. M365 support more than 2. I get it. So the answer should be security group. Any other question?
All right. Thanks. Is there any other question? And I think the question was asked by Famlua. I want to believe Clarification is clear.
Yes, very clear. Very clear. Thank you.
All right, thanks so much. So we'll be dropping the attendance link now, so we can fill while others who have questions. If there's still any other one that will be attended.
No, I think Promise asked question.
Okay,
No,
okay.
Promise asked question.
So the attendance
Promise.
will be dropped. So please let's attend to that. It was intentionally saved for this time just to see that we have people still on the call to attend to this. Okay. Let me look at that. Okay, please, Promise, you can go on with your question.
Okay, sir. Good evening, sir. Thank you so much for the time and for everything. In as much as the network was very, very bad, if myself too, I even experienced it. I just going off and coming in. I honestly, I was actually waiting for the a demo, but since you explained that everything is more like it's more like it's more like in the policy you just implement them. So I believe we just rewatch the video and try the demos ourselves. But I wanted to ask a question about remediation. That was last class, but I think I've figured that out though. Then I have a suggestion. I don't know if I can say it here, but I think I've just have to say it. I think we need more of more practical or more demo, because this just sending out reports like what after classes every Saturday we submit and send our assignments. I don't think that's enough. I don't know if there's a plan set in place for the mentees to work together as a team, to collaborate together as a team. Be like what we thought today, could just bring up a scenario, like a company-based problem, and share within the different teams. So we could just practice what we learn. I think we can just you can just come within the week, or maybe for now just a suggestion though. I don't know if the organizers of this bootcamp have that in mind, because we have been learning a lot, yes, but implementing what we learned, we've not really been doing that. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
Let me.
So I can just attend to the one that pertains to you, Mentor Tosin, then I will take up others. Thanks.
Okay. So the only thing I would just say for that is, to be very honest, what Promise said. I think the organizer of the program is working on it, because to be honest, because that is why we cannot just come up any scenario, and that's why we are following the laydown lab of Microsoft. I get it for now, because not everybody has the environment. Not everybody has an environment, and if you want people to learn, it's also better for everybody to have their own environment to able to reproduce, test. Then we cannot talk of projects. I get it. Like, okay, there are so many scenarios like this topic now that we talk about. Countless of scenarios that we can bring out. I get it. But I believe the organizer, Emmanuel, is working on it. I get it. So for the scenario, I can come up with a scenario, but the question, we need to track it. So it might be difficult to track it because we are not using the same, because some people have their own environment. I understand that they have their own environment to test, but we want everybody to go together. That's just the issue. But I'll leave it there for Amos to talk. We still need a tenant to be able to practice. Okay, Amos is okay. So that's what I can say for my own hand. Somebody asked a question here.
Oh, okay,
so
yeah.
the challenge,
Yeah,
the
thanks so
challenging
much.
part here
Let me
is
just quickly
the lab,
attend to the-
your environment. You need a test environment. I get it. Okay. Yeah. Go ahead, please.
Okay. Yeah,
Amos, go
okay.
ahead.
All right, thanks so much. For the tenant access, so so sorry, we experienced, let me just say, a slight delay in the provisioning. All right. So because what we're working towards is having this ready, say by week 1, week 2 of the boot camp, or we'll just intensify efforts. So we're already working in partnership with an academy to get this, sorted for all mentees. So we'll just speed things up during this week, see how best we can work it out. So most likely by next meeting or class, we should have sorted this out. Just bear with us. And also, we already have class representatives and assistants. So, and one of the reasons why we were intentional about having this, besides governance, is just to also see that mentees are able to come together, practice together. It doesn't really end within the boot camp. And I'm sure once we have the access to the Azure environment sorted, I'm very sure that we'll have so many of such engagements just to, I would say, intensify our understanding of some of these things that we are taught in class. Okay. So we'll intensify effort and we'll definitely get back to everyone in the course of the week. Just bear with us here. Thank you.
Thank you for the update.
Okay, can see someone's hand up. Yes, ma'am. Hold on, please. Wow.
Go ahead. Any other questions?
Can see someone's hand up.
I think Mr. Emmanuel Yimafu and Michael's hand is up. So
Okay.
Yes. Good evening.
good evening, Michael. You can proceed.
I don't know. Can you hear me?
Sure, we can hear you.
Okay.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much, Oluwatosin, for what you did so far. Yeah. Though we don't have the test environment yet, but I've learned so much from what you've been doing and still doing. So I have these questions I want to ask. I just have two questions. Yeah, quick one. So let's say in Azure policy, I want to know what are the common mistakes that organizations make when implementing the principle of least privilege in Azure. Yes, and how can they avoid them, like the common mistakes? Then I don't know if you answer this, or should I just ask the second one? So the second one is this. Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, proceed, please.
Okay. So if a user has the contributor role, but an Azure policy denies creating a resource, you have a policy that denies creating a resource, which takes precedence, like which one comes first and why? That's the second question. Thank you.
Hello, my Totos, are you there?
I think Mr. Tosin is off the call.
Let's-
Probably network.
Oh.
While we wait for him, please, on the chat, the attendance link was dropped earlier. So let's take time to fill if we're yet to do so.
Yeah. Hi, Amos. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. So, first of all, I want to thank our amazing speaker, Mr. Oluwatosin Ajala. The section has been really insightful from the first class pivots down to Azure policy part 1 and 2. That's really been very incisive, and I must say that I've learned a lot. And I know that our mentees also have learned a lot. So I know some of our mentees were complaining of the lab, just as Amos have said, we are working on it, and by the grace of God, they're going to come up with results and answer very soon. So I want to ask the community for a favor. So we, the organizers of the bootcamp, so we need some volunteers to join our social media team to support us in posting on social media platforms like LinkedIn, X, Instagram, Facebook. So we need volunteers to join the social media workforce. And we need people that are active, people that are ready and are willing to serve. So if you are willing to join, kindly just drop your name on the chat so that the team lead of the social media will add you to the group. Or you can just drop your name and phone number to the chat. Any volunteer? So I'm not seeing anybody dropping their name in the chat because we need volunteer. We need volunteers. So that's all from my end. And Amos, I'm handing over the mic to you. Thank you.
Okay. I think maybe we'll still drop this on the WhatsApp group. Probably we'll be able to have one or two volunteers join the social media team. All right, thanks, Oyemafu. Okay, do we have a facilitator back? Just to attend to the last question. I think there is also one more. With that, we can end this session. Or that appears.
You can ask the question. What's the question?
Probably you can ask the question on the WhatsApp group since it's not back. I'm just
okay. I think maybe we'll just leverage the WhatsApp group for that then rather. So someone asked a question earlier, ranging. I think it has to do with role, contributors, role, and what have you. So I think what we'll just do very quickly. Michael, you asked the question, right? Hi, Michael. Was it Michael that asked? Just wanted to be sure.
Yes,
it was Michael.
It was me.
Okay. Oyema, do you want him to go through the question again, or it should drop on the WhatsApp group? Do you want to attempt the question?
Since we don't have time again, because this is just 1 minute.
Okay.
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 Drop
Okay. All right. Thanks so much for that, because we also need to be time conscious. All right. So, Michael, and I know someone also raised their hand earlier. Can just drop the question on the WhatsApp group. You can even tag the facilitator. I actually wanted us to just type some words in appreciating our facilitator. I think maybe we'll do that during the session we'll be having for the lab then. Okay. But in his absence, I'm sure we're all appreciative of his time and the level of, I'll say, knowledge that we've dug deep in terms of identity and also enforcing security. So thanks so much to all our mentees staying up to this time. I'll refer us back again to the attendance link that was dropped earlier. Please let's ensure that we I'll just drop that again because I know some people dropped off earlier. I'm dropping that again now. Just a moment. Even while we exit now, you can still go back there. Okay. A moment, please. All right, so let me just paste again. Okay, this has it's been sent again. Please let's ensure that we mark our attendance with this. So what we are doing with this is it's a combination of feedback for the facilitator, and then we're also registering our attendance in the class. So once again, the call for volunteer for social media, just to join the existing team, will also be made known on the WhatsApp group. So if you are prompted to join, if it's something that you have left for, something that you can support the existing team, will definitely be on ground to accommodate you. So thanks so much, everyone, for your time. The new dates will be communicated, talking about the date for the lab with our mentor. So we need it to be communicated for us to come together for about an hour. And with that, we have a better understanding of all that is being discussed today. All right. So we signing out for now. Bye, everyone. Take care. Enjoy the rest of the weekend. Bye.